Hi, I'm Roberto Martinez and you're watching Toffee TV.
Welcome to Toffee TV. This will be our last video till the new season starts. Peter McPartland, Barry Cass, we're here to preview the game against Leicester City down at the King Power Stadium. There was Filbert Street and the Walker's Chris Stadium went through my mind, but it is now called the King Power Stadium, which will be familiar to some Blues from the last time that Leicester were in the Premier League. If we look at pre-season, it hasn't been the best pre-season from a results point of view. It's been slightly disappointing. Obviously, okay, drawn with Tranmere and you know they've drawn with Porto, defeat to Celta Vigo. The defeat to Celta Vigo was slightly disappointing in the manner of the way the team played and the general sort of fitness in the game. But I think the star man was Nolito, who I think most Blues would love if they signed him. That would have been a nice little sort of introduction to the player. But how have you found pre-season so far? And when I ask you that, I mean not from the results point of view, but just the general pre-season as a whole. Yeah.
Results-wise, it has been disappointing. I think you want to win every game, don't you, when you play? And I think it normally builds that excitement when you win a few games, but we haven't been able to take that from this season. I think the thing that's concerned me more really, rather than results, is just look very un-Everton-like under Roberto Martinez. I think a couple of the games took me back to kind of David Moyes pre-season, where the team looks a bit disjointed. But I've always thought, since Martinez come in, and even last summer, we kind of played the same pattern all the way through possession and passing and moving, and it's been kind of the opposite this pre-season. It's just looked very, very un-Roberto-like. So that's been a bit disappointing. Players, I think it's really disrupted, isn't it, after the World Cup? Players are coming back at different levels, different times, and I don't think, the only fear is that we might make a slow start to the season, and that's the only thing that's niggling me at the minute.
And it's not a start that you can really make a slow start in, because obviously Leicester away, then Arsenal and Chelsea, the home games. As you mentioned, it's been very disrupted, hasn't it, by this World Cup, because, the likes of Morelos and Lukaku doesn't look like they're going to get a proper pre-season game under the belt, or have a pre-season game under the belt. Behind closed door friendly maybe, but you'd want more out of them, and the likes of Jagielka and Baines, you're getting 45 minutes here and 45 minutes there. And I suppose what it shows is actually, I think we've got a stronger squad this season, but it's still smaller than others, because if you look at teams like Manchester United, who obviously finished below us last season, they haven't got Robin van Persie back, or getting back very late, but they've still got really good centre forwards to cope in that position. And I think that just seems the biggest problem so far, that in every pre-season game, what you've seen is defensively, we need players back, a strong midfield, but quite a defensive midfield, but attacking players, and obviously our main forward Lukaku, they're not back, they're not fully fit, and that's the business end that we're going to need them on, isn't it, when the first day of the season comes?
It's like a big glaring hole in the team, isn't it, when you watch the roll it out from the back, and he might play a little bit of good football, and to get into that final third, and you look devoid of any ideas. Okay, Aidan McGeady took a little bit of stick, on social media and stuff like that. He's been good in patches, and other patches he had looked poor. But we haven't really had anyone else. Stephen Pienaar's played very little. He looked okay against Leicester and over in Thailand. It's been very little of him. Obviously Morales isn't there, but obviously Delafeu down from last year as well. So we really have lost players in that business end. And I think it's not a slight worry, it's a real worry for me, is that as good as Stephen Naismith was last year, as good as he is and will be a vital part of our squad, he can't, for me anyway, I just don't think he can carry the team as a centre forward if he hasn't got two quick players around him. And it's just looked like we're all waiting for Lukaku to hit the floor running, and we're missing the likes of Kone as well, just someone else to bring. And I'm saying that when we haven't really even seen him. So I'm just someone else to come.
We're missing someone that we actually have never had. But I think if you look at Naismith so far in pre-season, he's getting plenty of chances. He's been unlucky, but what he seems to be doing, and I think it's very unfortunate on him, is he's very much playing as a substitute Lukaku. He's almost playing in a way will be Lukaku's role, and he's just filling it for pre-season because this is the way we'll play eventually. And he'd take up one of those other positions, and he's the only man so far who can do it. So I think that's a little bit unfortunate. I think physically, I think he's had a good pre-season. He's worked really hard. He's made chances, scored a couple of goals. You know, that kind of thing is good. So I think he'll be okay. And go back to what you said about McGeady. I think McGeady will be okay as well. I think what he lacks at the moment is those players in front of him that he can find that final pass to. And because he can't find that final pass, he becomes a little bit Peter Bakery. Goes back and tries to beat the player again. So
I think the other thing with that, Ped, is because hopefully when everyone's fit, he'll have Shane's goal bombing on the outside of him, so he can play that ball in. With all due respect to Tony Hibbert, Tony's more of a defensive player, although he had a little bit of a mare against Celta Vigo, but he's normally looks after the defensive side. I think McGeady's been looking to try and roll one down the line to a fullback. Stephen Naismith is working hard. I'm not criticising that side of him, but I think when he's got Lukaku to hit in the middle, McGeady, it'll be a drop of the shoulder and a delivery because he does put in a good cross.
Yeah, and that thing, it's those little things at the moment that, as we say, it is pre-season. We're not going overboard about anything. We're not going to go overboard about it if someone was playing magnificently with that. You know, we're going to talk about a couple of people. I think Ross Barkley has been physically phenomenal since he came back for pre-season, because if you look at all the other players, certainly the England players, they've been dipped in and out. Jagielka's been used sparingly. Baines has played half an hour here, half here, half there. But Barkley, he seems to want to drive on. It seems to be hard to take him off the pitch. So from that point of view, that's very positive. I think he's a young man who just wants to play. I
think as well in the Vigo game, he noticeably got stronger as the game went on. So as players were getting tired, he was still going again. And he's so important to us, isn't he? Those driving runs from the field.
Yeah, as you mentioned, Besic is another one. We've seen couple of little cameos from him as well, and both of them he's been superb in not only in his ability at times, but in his attitude. I mean, there was one against Celta Vigo where he tried a couple of tricks, and the Celta Vigo players got the better of him. So he decided, right, I'm going to get that ball back one way or another. And he got something. He got something, and you can see that he's got that little bit of edge about him, which is really, really positive. I think it's a little bit of nastiness, which this Everton team have been missing. When I say nastiness, I don't mean he's going to 2-foot tackle anyone. He knows the situation. He knows coming out of Europe. He knows there's things you can and can't do. But there's that little bit of side to him, which you think, in a proper game, people are going to be scared just to go near him or go near him just to touch him.
I think what a lot of people will be surprised by as well will be his actual touch and control on the ball, his ability to beat a man, because he can take players on, and that's probably something I didn't really give, in the World Cup he was a little bit of a destructive player, but got a lovely touch and good passing range as well, so he's been impressive so far, but like you say, it is only pre-season.
And that's encouraging, though, that there's 3-4. Darren Gibson's in there as well. He's getting a game here, game there. He's got. So far what we've seen is every player is clear that they've got a structured program to how they build to the season, so that when that's that opening day against Leicester, they're at their, I suppose, optimum they can be from the pre-season. Not necessarily an optimum, because the first day of the season is not the day you want players to peak. It's the play you just want them to be fit and ready to go. And every player, as you mentioned, Pina has been dipped in and out. Gibson has, it's just unfortunate. Gareth Barry. It's just unfortunate that Coleman's got injured. So it's a bad time pre-season to get injured, isn't it? Because you set this programme, you're given things to do to get fitter and stronger, and then you get an injury, but you're not fully fit anyway. Yeah. So it takes that double amount of effort back into it.
It does, but he's a fit lad, he's a fit boy anyway, isn't he? So you would have hoped that he will, once the season starts, he'll get up and run very, very quickly with that. I think the other thing to kind of take out the way the pre-season's been so far is, I've been very impressed with Tyus Browning. I think he looks as though, he could certainly affect the play. He could come in maybe and do a bit of a job. And I think the other one for me, Shane Duffy done okay against Vigo. The other one for me has been Chris Long, who I've been very, very impressed with. I know he didn't get any time against Vigo, but in Thailand and he came on against Porto as well. I think his touch is good. He's a good runner, so he's one who's knocking on the squad as well.
Do you think though he may be a player who's knocking on the door, but might need a season away on loan just to give that a little bit of physical strength, because we've seen Lundstrom go to Blackpool, and he's a player who's clearly got something about him, but physically he looks like 4 stone dripping wet, to be perfectly honest. He needs to go out and be getting
a bit of pork chops. I think probably that applies to Conor McElhenney as well. I think a few of them, you get so far in that under 21 thing, and people don't realise sometimes, unless you're a real talent like the likes of Ross Barkley, Wayne Rooney, who physically can handle it as well. I think you do have that little dip, and you need to go out on loan to do it. But saying that, Ross went on loan, didn't he? Yeah. So you've got to go out, and you really earn your corn when you're playing with people who it means a lot to. And other crowds, they can go to championship sides where you get 20,000 people watching it anyway. That builds your experience up as well. And as
I think we've talked about this previously in other places, but going on loan as well, it gives you that experience of knowing, the player next year needs this win bonus. He needs this win bonus. He needs a goal bonus. He needs whatever. Especially at some clubs now in the Championship. We just mentioned Blackpool. There's teams out there that are struggling. The players will be struggling, and they only have 1 year contracts or 2 year contracts, and he's got all the luxuries of playing at Everton, and now he's going to get a taste of the real world.
I think it'd do the likes of Chris Long or McElhenney good to go there as well. I think it's not too far down the road. I think it's good to be that local base, can come home when he wants. But Blackpool need players, don't they? And it kind of fits, ticks both boxes. But I think it's a real good learning curve, especially the Championship. It's just one level below, and if they can get maybe a loan deal there to go with Lundstrom, I think it'll help.
One player who's had, I would say, an indifferent pre-season is John Stones. On the pitch, it's been less than spectacular, but off the pitch he's just signed a new 5-year deal, which is absolutely fantastic. We were talking about this last week. I think we thought it was actually going to take a little bit longer than it has, but it seems to have been wrapped up. Again, it's the Roberto Martinez factor. He wants to get it sorted. On the pitch, it's been slightly different. He's made a couple of horrendous mistakes at Prenton Park in the same place, with goal scorers chipping the goalkeeper at the end of it to compound the misery of it all. But forget about Barry. They're just little things. He's a player who just wants to keep playing football from the back. I'm sure we'll get rid of those little things. But 5-year contract. I mean, that's just fantastic. I mean, it's not like we were ever in doubt. But that's, as we mentioned in the last show, that's Martinez, that's Baines, that's Seamus Coleman. That's Ross Barkley. Now it's another under 23-year-old player. John Stones signed 5 years.
It's fantastic. It puts to bed all them stories. I mean, I don't know what the papers are going to write about tomorrow. With John Stones, where's he going now? Is he going to Spurs and everything else? I think we expected it to be late September, early October due to the dispute with the agent, but obviously Everton have worked their way down. I don't think there was ever any doubt he'd signed a contract. It was just when he'd signed it. So fantastic news coming before the season, of course. Further evidence that the club have really worked hard, almost wanting to kill speculation in a way. Let's get these deals done quickly. Let's keep kind of portraying the fact that we're trying to move forward as a club. And again, the Roberto Martinez effect, isn't it? Of trying to tie players down and build a unit that wants to move forward. In terms of what John Stones has done at Prenton Park, he's had a nightmare. He's had an absolute mare. Trying to dribble out that centre half and getting caught twice that has resulted in goals, but that's what he does. He plays, and normally we love it. I don't think he'd be so casual in the Premier League, but then again,
let's be honest. But he's not. This is not just a kid that we've never seen before. We've seen him play half of last season. We know what he's all about. He's made a couple of stupid mistakes. As we always say, it's the last part of your fitness, that little bit of sharpness that says what's going to go on.
I think the other thing as well is due to the Seamus Coleman injury. They go to right back in that Celta Vigo game, and Nolito, who Tony Hibbert have made look like Lionel Messi. No messing here, but we do love you really. But I think John Stones could have a shout to start at Leicester. I'm not so sure whether Coleman comes, does he come straight back in after a bounce game?
Again, it's all fitness, isn't it? It's all about what the manager thinks. We can't sit here and say who's fit and who isn't fit. That would be impossible to say. But when he did play it right back in the second half of that game again, though, he's gallivanting down the wing. Yeah. There's no stopping him. He's lobbing balls over people's heads and chasing them. It's not like this one mistake has caused him any issues. He just gets on with it.
Don't forget, people will hear Stones at right back, and it'll automatically take you back to January 31st or whatever it was at Anfield, on a night when Everton had half the team not fully fit, and he did get exposed that night. He didn't have the greatest game at right back, but then again, neither did the two centre halves. So it's about learning from that.
If he's going to play right back, then don't we basically say, well, why not play 3 centre backs?
I think, but that's a great shout. But then again, that will come into effect when Coleman's fully fit. I don't think we could play three centre backs and have Aidan McGeady as your right wing back, because you want him to be doing the damage in the final third and not your own. I'm not so sure McGeady can do a good enough job tracking back. Whereas if you play 3 with Coleman and Baines, it's almost ideal. I think they will do that time this year. He tried it again in different games, hasn't he? But I think for Leicester, I think it's going to be a scrap anyway. So I think you could see him going in that right back position.
What also like Besic maybe playing right wing back if needed to be, because he seems like he could play that side. He seems like he's got an engine on him. He seems like he can basically do whatever he wanted to ask him. I mean, you just think if Coleman's not fit, then maybe the possibility of playing 3 centre backs might be a little bit too hard to resist for Roberto Martinez.
Maybe, and Besic is a fit lad, isn't he? Looks quite quick, like he can get it on the pitch, got a good touch. So yeah, it's a shout-sized man. He might think he's in with the shout of playing like that day, but don't know, do we? We'll have to wait and see. But Besic, I think, he'll probably play most positions, it looks like, doesn't it?
From a business point of view, I think it's been quite a good summer, though. We can't really argue, we've brought in, obviously, Gareth Barry permanently, we've brought in Romelu Lukaku, Mohamed Besic, Galloway's come in as well from MK Dons. So from that point of view, I think we've strengthened quite well.
Yeah, it's been good business, to get Lukaku back, Gareth Barry back, despite people telling us it wouldn't happen. He's obviously very good. Young Galloway, highly rated. So I think he's done, it's been quite a good summer as well with all the, the contracts renewing and everything. It just gives you that message that we are moving forward, and everyone. I think everyone's got to be pleased with how it's gone. Obviously, we need a couple more. We'd like a couple more, but people should be pleased with how the summer's been.
You mentioned there about who else we need. I mean, what else do you think we need now before the window shuts?
I think in the final third we're lacking. I think we know he's after a winger. We know the Atsu thing is at a standstill. The game of chess and everything else. But I think he's a player, a player of that ilk. We need a wide man who's quick to replace Delafeu. We had him last season and we've lost him. And we definitely need a centre forward. I think, having Lukaku, having Seamus Cullen, Stephen Naismith, and having Aruna Kone, we're still one short there. He did say early on in the summer he wanted Traore and he wanted Lukaku. Well, he's got Lukaku, but it doesn't look like Traore will happen. So he's got to be looking, for another centre forward. And we know that people have talked about Hernandez from Manchester United, but I can't see him leaving Old Trafford to come and sit on the bench.
But is that the biggest problem, attracting a player when Lukaku is your number one, and basically, he's told the world he's number one. He's headhunted them all summer to bring him to Everton, and he was bringing another forward, and he's going to have to say to him, isn't he? Well, you're not going to start every game because generally we play with one striker. So does that lessen the options, and does that sort of make it so he wants a striker who's got other attributes, who will play out on the wing, who will play left and right, cutting inside, and a player who's got a little bit more about him than just being a centre forward?
Yeah, I think that's what he needs. I think that's what he's looking for, and it does cut your options down. I think that's why people wanted Boney and Lukaku, but they obviously do a very, very similar role. I think someone like Loic Remy is ideal. I think he can play off the front man, he can play as the lone front man, he can play wide. I think he would be perfect, but his wages are obviously a lot of money, 90 grand a week or something. So I think Everton could probably afford to bring him in transfer-wise. But wages, he'd have to take a big hit. But he's the type of forward we need to be after. We need to be one who can drop into either position. And so I suppose that does cut your options right down, doesn't it? Hernandez can't really do that. He's either down the middle or playing with another centre forward. We don't really do that. So as good as his, as good a finisher as he is, I can't see him ending up at Everton. So he will have to look for someone who can do both roles as opposed to one.
And again, the irony is with Romelu Lukaku in the last couple of years when he was at West Brom and saying he was at Everton last season, there were times when you just said to yourself, actually, I wouldn't mind Ron coming off the bench today, because there were times when he looked tired, when a game didn't suit him, the way it was being played, the way the defenders were bunching up on him, and we couldn't get the support. So it would be nice to have a different kind of striker up there to play in certain games and have him come off the bench, because we've seen in the World Cup, his first couple of games, he looked poor because they never played the way he wants to play. He likes the ball in front of him so he can run at defenders, or crosses coming from the byline. We've seen goals last season where he just gets the touch. But when he goes back to goal, he isn't always great. And there will be games like that, and it's nice to have the other style of play. Even there's times last season, when he got injured against Liverpool, where he came back and he was refreshed and he went on a good run of scoring goals. So they are the times. And again, this season we've got Europa League and on Thursday, Sunday. It would be nice to have another good striker to put in for one of those two games.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're spot on. He kind of, some of the games last year, he was shot after an hour, wasn't he? He's a young man. He's 21. And if he come through the ranks, you'd be saying he's got to be given time. He can't play every game, so he's no different. Just because he's physically built like a 30-year-old fella, you've still got to be able to pull him out at times. And I think that's something that, again, looking for that other centre forward, is you've got to have someone who can go in and occupy that role and be able to take it in and keep it for us, bring other players in the game. So that kind of cuts down your options. But I think having Lukaku, being able to pull him out and say, right, you're doing 25 minutes today, might turn in those games. Remember West Ham at home last year when he came on, it was a very, very tight game, and he'd come on with half an hour left and just his freshness. And I think it was his first game back, and he scored the winning goal with about 10 minutes to go. And that was what he'd done to really good effect when he was at West Brom. So it would be good, that what we have to try and do it everywhere else all over the pitch. You probably take a player out and you can put someone almost of equal quality in there. But I think once you get to the likes of Barkley and Lukaku, when you take them out of the Everton team, there isn't really the same quality going back in there. And I think that's Martinez's next conundrum almost, is being able to find a centre forward who can replace Rom for certain games and the quality doesn't drop. And they're not easy to find, are they?
No, certainly not. And especially, he's not going to want to pay an absolute fortune for these players either. So I suppose it's now about using the window all the way to the deadline, isn't it? Because that's when you find out who players where they're happy, if they get played, if they're not getting played, and a player might get an idea of how the season's going to be for the team and think, right, I don't fancy this. I might want to make myself known that I want to get out. So
I think it's just difficult, just quickly on that one. It's very difficult because obviously you've got trying to get players now at the top 3 or 4 clubs. Because Everton have done so well, they don't want to give strikers to Everton who may damage them this season. Yeah. Okay, Mourinho likes it because he knows that it can damage the teams around him. So it's trying to get one of them. And a striker at those other clubs, they're not going to come and sit on our bench when they know Lukaku's the main man. So it's going to be a difficult one for Martinez, and maybe it'll end up being a centre forward from another country who will come in and act as that almost second striker. Because obviously we don't know whether we can rely on Kone with his knee. We don't know how he's going to be, how strong he's going to be, how long he's going to last. And like we said before, Naismith sometimes is better as a number 10 or coming off the bench. So that's an area for me that we definitely need to strengthen.
So first game of the season, Leicester City, King Power Stadium. Horrible playing a promoted team, I think, first game of the season. You get that bounce factor. They're coming up. Everyone's hyped up by first game back in the Premier League. The other thing about it is everyone's fit as well, generally. Every player's fit. So it's not like when you played them in December when they're down to the bare bones and they're bringing players in left, right and centre off the bench.
The left backs playing.
Well, yeah, the quality's not there, isn't it? It's always horrible, and you just think to yourself, this game, their manager's going to send them out there and just say, compete, get stuck into these. A team that have got a lot of plaudits from last season, get stuck into these. Because he'll have looked at our pre-season and thought, these haven't had a great pre-season, the players are not 100% fit, so just get stuck into them, we won't like it. What do you think will happen in terms of team selection? Do you think Roberto Martinez will look for 11 fit players and not create a team, but obviously 11 fit players that fit into his structure and say, go ahead? Or will he take the chance on Romelu Lukaku, and Morales, you know, what do you think from that point of view?
I think Lukaku will definitely play that. Like we've just said, there's no one to replace him. No one does Ron's job, basically. I think Martinez will have an idea in his mind what the team is. I think he'll know probably 8, but I think we could probably name 8 of them now. Obviously, a big question mark over Seamus Coleman. We touched on it before, whether John Stones goes in there. Bezic, like you said, maybe a Tyus Brown. Does he play 3? I think he will know what he's going to do there. I think he'll just try and pick his strongest team. I think the fitness thing is obviously, you've got to weigh that up. But I think in general, he will feel by that kickoff that he's got his best 11 ready to go out there. The bench will take care of any fitness issues. And I think that's what he'll do. I think he'll just set out what he wants as his best 11, what he construes as his best 11 for that day. Going to be tight. Nigel Pearson will have them fired up. They'll be hitting every single challenge. And Everton are going to have to go there and keep it tight for the first 15 or 20 minutes and try and dampen that first day bounce a little bit. Keep the ball as well as we did last season. And if we do that, we might be able to manage our way into this game. It'll be a real tough game.
But as we mentioned, when you're trying to keep the ball, if you're not 100%, the sharpness is not to that level, that can be difficult, can't it? And, you know, little mistakes get seized on. So it is about having those main players 100% fit. I mean, you have mentioned, you know, he's probably got a good idea. I suppose the fact that he's got Barkley in there, Gareth Barry and James McCarthy, who are pretty much, you know, are playing at a decent level in pre-season. That's a big factor, isn't it? That's a big help. There is core 3 in there.
His engine room, isn't it? And that engine room has been something Everton have lacked over the years, and last year we really were able to get a grip on it with the way we wanted to play. I think there is, dare I say, his holy trinity, Andy, Barry, McCarthy and Barkley. Bezic now comes in banging on that door. Darren Gibson is getting stronger and stronger, can offer us that support. So I think as long as he's got Tim Howard, he's got Jagielka and Distan, and he's got them 3 in front, they're the core. We know that Baines will be in at left back. So that's the core of the Everton side there anyway. And then he'll just fill it in where he needs to be.
Do you think with the lack of maybe attacking options, what he could look at, especially going away to a team like Leicester first game of the season, is a back 4 of whoever they may be? You know, probably Jags, probably Distan, Baines, let's say Coleman, if he's fit, or if he's not, you know, whoever fills in there. And then maybe might say, well, you know what, let's just be a little bit more conservative in front of those. Let's have Barry, let's have Bezic, let's have McCarthy. Obviously the fullbacks creating a width, and then Ross Barkley playing as a proper number 10, and then Romelu Lukaku in front of him. So you are either, you know, defensively it looks quite tight, but then you've got the added guile of Ross Barkley with Romelu Lukaku, and of course what you lack with not having any wingers on the pitch, but you make that up in the fullbacks. And when the fullbacks go forward, you've got that security of maybe Bezic filling in at right back, you know, Barry going in at left back, and McCarthy going all over the pitch as he always does.
He could do that because they're not up to the full speed. He hasn't got the likes of Kevin Morales. He'll only have had a week. When he might have had a bounce game, he'll have only had a week. He may turn around and look at it that way and think, well, what we'll do is we'll keep Morales and McGeady for the last kind of 20 minutes of this game. If we can go in with that solidity, get towards 70-minute mark and we're either a goal ahead or it's tight 0-0, we can then throw them on and see if they can unlock them. He may just go, you know what, we're going to stamp our authority on this from the first whistle. Let's get out there, all hands to the pump, and go and try and you know, get that victory straight off. I think if Everton come away with the point, it's not a bad point. It's a tough place to go. I want 3, you know, and I expect 3 because I think Leicester were at their full pelt in Thailand, their full team. I think we had half a side out, and they just edged it. Fair enough, you know, fair result. But I think it'll be a different game that day. But I think if we come out of it with a point, you'll say, okay, tough place to go opening day. And
it's different. I think they've had a different pre-season from us. They've played a lot of like lesser teams, and it's been about getting games won and getting the players 100% fit. Whereas for Everton, it's been a little bit different. Roberto Martinez wants his players fit, of course he does, but it's also about making this team better, you know, better on the ball. And obviously we've suffered as well by the players coming back at all different stages, to the point where a couple of our best players are not coming back till the week before the season starts. It's a big hindrance.
I think the other thing as well is that with the opposition that he's played, he's tried to play teams who'll keep the ball, because that's how he learns and that's how we should be doing things better. And they've chosen that opposition. I think it's been a very, very strange pre-season. I think we've spoke about this on the show a few times. It's been a very, very strange pre-season. not knowing the opposition till late and everything else. I think you'll find next summer it'll be organised in about March and we'll have a clear thing. So it is difficult. The World Cup's kind of ruined it a little bit, but you know,
the World Cup has ruined that pre-season.
No, the World Cup is fantastic, but I just think in terms of disruption, players, different levels, it hasn't been the smoothest. But look, it's like that, been like that for a lot of clubs, so you know, you get on with it.
But then obviously coming off the back of the Leicester City game, there's a Chelsea and Arsenal game to take care of for Goodison Park as well. A couple of big games, which again, you just don't really want them this early in the season because again, once we're not getting players back and getting players fit, and you want maybe a slower start of the season to get you more into it. But then again, you know, Chelsea and Arsenal might fancy coming to Goodison Park. They've got players who've come back from the World Cup. They've got players who will be settling in. They've got new players as well. And they won't fancy coming to Goodison either a week or 2 weeks into the season. And with those first couple of games for the Blues, it's a lot of them will be the first chance to see Besic, chance to see Lukaku permanent signing as well, and whoever else. But it's, you know, R5 on a Saturday, Goodison Park will be bouncing in, and you know, why not? Why not go out there and get 3 points from each game?
You're saying about the not necessarily wanting them games, and you're right. You know, you want to play these teams when you're at your full pelt, but in some respects, it makes you kick on earlier, quicker. It makes you focus your mind. Last year, we had what many would have regarded as a comfortable start. We had Norwich, West Brom, and Cardiff, and we didn't win any of them. So maybe having Arsenal and Chelsea at home on the run is will get those players fired up. The crowd will be fired up, and when Goodison's fired up, the players are fired up. So maybe in some respects it'll work out in our favour. Look, they won't be relishing coming to Everton that early in the season. They will have wanted to hit their rhythm as well. But you've got to play these teams at some stage, and if we can come out of this little block of games coming up to the window with 6-7 points, I'll be absolutely delighted. And it'll be, if we can get that figure, it'll be 3 to 4 more than we had at this stage last season.
If we look at the season as a whole coming up, obviously we've got Europa to look forward to as well. That's going to be a big factor in the season as well. I mean, realistically, what are we looking for this season? Because obviously all the teams above Everton have strengthened. They've all spent money. Manchester United have spent money as well. They'll be looking to overtake us, and it becomes a difficult thing, doesn't it? Trying to beat those teams when everyone's got money, everyone's strengthening, every game suddenly becomes tougher, doesn't it?
It does, but it's 11 v 11, isn't it? And it's about your team. And I think what Roberto Martinez does is, he gives you belief. He gives that team that the 11 that go out there don't have any qualms about winning games. I think if you look back to the likes of Manchester United last year, Old Trafford, every Everton player probably went out there thinking, we'll beat these. The players have said it themselves. He doesn't entertain negativity. He doesn't entertain doubt. He prepares you as best he can, gets you ready and removes all the barriers and obstacles in front of you and makes you therefore go and grow as players. So it's 11 v 11. Yes, teams have strengthened. We've strengthened. We've got players in. We know Lukaku's here for a few years. We know Gareth Barry's here. No question marks there. Besic has improved us. The players are 12 months on in Roberto's theories and possession. They've got to improve. It will be difficult because other teams have got a bit of quality, but we've got quality. We won 21 games last season. It's out of 38. It's not beyond the realms of possibility that we'll win 22 this year. And if we do win 22, that's 16 other games that we can not win and still do okay. And, you know, we could lose 10 and turn 3 of those other games into wins, and that puts us right up there as well. So I don't look at it like other teams are strengthening and we're gonna struggle, because I just think we're still good enough to beat the majority of the teams below us.
Yeah, and I think this season, I think it's going to be a closer league. I don't see anyone getting 72 points this season and not qualifying for the Champions League. I think that was a freak last season, because all those other teams have gone, right, we've got to try and catch up. We've got, you see like Stoke and West Ham buying quality players, and not going to make them well-beaten teams, but it's going to improve them and beat the other teams around them and take points this year off your Man Uniteds and your Chelseas. Even though everyone took points off Man United last season, but it's beating your Man United, beating Chelsea, beating Arsenal. I think it's going to be a little bit tighter, which in theory might help us, because even if we could get less points this season, we'll finish around the same place or even higher.
Yeah, I think what they might do is they might give those top teams games this year, whereas last year there was too many convincing victories for those other sides, wasn't there? So it could work out that way. I think you're right. I think if you get 72 points this season, I think you'll be in the top 4. I think But there's, you know, the league is very, very open this year. You know, in terms of who will win it. Teams yet strengthened. United have strengthened. Chelsea have strengthened. Liverpool have brought players in, but have lost their kingpin. So a lot of things may be up in the air. Arsenal have got Sanchez in, but will he be the same? Will he be a bit stronger? Will they all merge? Will Arsenal be fantastic, or will he go backwards? I think there's a lot of variables for me.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. As I say, a lot of teams have strengthened. We've strengthened, and
who knows what we'll be like on August 31st?
Exactly, and who knows who'll come here. I just think the fact that other teams have strengthened below may help us this season. Because again, you look back at last season and you think, well, can Everton go to Old Trafford and win? Can they go to the Emirates and get a point? Can they, beat Chelsea home, Arsenal home, Manchester United home? But then again, you think to yourself, a point against Crystal Palace, 2 points against West Brom. Points dropped at a lot of lesser teams, teams that went down, and you think to yourself, well, actually, let's take the 3 points off them this time, because especially second half of the season, what we've seen was an attitude of win or bust, I think, from Roberto Martinez. He was willing to go out in those games and say, just go for it, because we will get our rewards, and most of the time we did. There was times when we didn't, but if he's still got that attitude, then hopefully that'll drive us on a little bit further this season.
Yeah, definitely. I can't disagree. Definitely, we did see it after that Anfield derby defeat. There was kind of a shift in Everton's attitude, and he did win a lot of games. Okay, he lost a few, but he won a lot of games between then and the end of the season. So I don't see why anything will change, really. I think they'll improve the quality. Barkley will be better with 12 months behind him, World Cup. And I just think it's about Everton being able to take chances. We wasted a lot of chances last year, and can we improve in that final third? If we can get another 1 or 2 in, can Aruna Kone come back and get 9 or 10 goals? He was missing for a lot of that season. Can we have Brian Oviedo fit for the whole season this time and weigh in with important goals? There's a lot of things. Will Aidan McGeady be better than he was last year? Stephen Pienaar be available? Gibson? Everton have are a lot stronger because we had about 4 or 5 players we didn't call on.
Yeah.
From Christmas onwards last year. So, with all that, it's going to be a fascinating league this year.
Who do you think will win the league?
It's a tough one. I think Manchester United will be stronger, but that doesn't really mean anything, does it? No. I think if I had to choose one right now before the window's shut, I would say Chelsea, just because I think he got them quite close last year, and you could tell he wasn't happy with them. He seems to have done a lot of good business getting rid of the likes of Sergio Bob this year and things like that. And I think they will do quite well this year, Chelsea.
Yeah, I think he's strengthened in the right areas. I think they'll do quite well. Obviously, Man City a little bit hamstrung this season because of FFP. They've obviously got certain things that they can't.
Still might bring Falcao.
Yeah, they still might go out there and do what they need to do. Arsenal will be a very interesting side this season, I think. Once it all beds in, will he explode like they normally do in February? Will be interesting to see. From an Everton point of view, what do you think this season? Not even what do you think. What are your expectations?
Expectations, I think, will be. The expectations are we're right in the mix for the Champions League. I think with 3 or 4 other sides. What I would like to happen is I'd be delighted with that, but I think I'd love to see us win a trophy this year. It's going to be 20 years when this season finishes since we won the FA Cup. Far too long for a team like Everton, a club like Everton. And so I would love us to win any trophy, League Cup, FA Cup, Europa League, and be right in the mix for that 4th place. I think that'd be a fantastic season for Everton Football Club. Yeah,
because we've got to start winning trophies again, haven't we? I think any manager who worth his salt wants to win a trophy. That's got to be his memory. You can't.
Well, it's we haven't put. Not like we're going to put a 40-foot mural up or something when he's not won anything, are we?
Yeah, I mean that. Imagine that happened. But I think any manager worth his salt, if he wants to be remembered at a club, he can't be remembered for
brown shoes,
finishing 7th, or sayings or whatever. It's got to be about. You can't live on.
He will know that he wants that as well. He won an FA Cup at Wigan, so he's proven he can win trophies. He's won a trophy more than. He's won more than the likes of Arsene Wenger and Brendan Rodgers in the last couple of years, hasn't he? So, he's done it at an unfashionable club. So it's about time now that a club like Everton got their hands on anything, even if it's the League Cup, anything.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be anything, any trophy. And again, I think the other expectation for me is we've got to be in Europe every year. That for me is something that, we did it like 2 or 3 years in a row under David Moyes, and, that's for me, it's got to be the thing. European football. I know some people don't like Europa League, but you've got to embrace it. And then it's a stepping stone maybe to get into the Champions League. Because if you get in the Champions League and you've got none of those coefficient points, you're going to find yourself very quickly out.
But Celtic.
You know, but you want to be in Europe every year. You want that little bit of extra to look forward to. Give you that little bit extra when it goes going to buy players. Say we can offer you this, or it puts pressure on the owner.
Branding and getting your face around Europe and sponsors and potential owners or investment. Everton have got to grow as a business, as a football club.
Exactly.
End of story.
You know, if you want shirt deals and sponsorship deals that are massive and keep up with the Joneses,
Dunkin' Donuts,
you know,
Greggs
you've got to be seen in more places, haven't you? Now, if that means Thursday night on Channel Quest for Europa League games, then so be it. But this is where we want to be. Everyone's always enjoyed themselves in the Europa League. So for me, I'd absolutely love any kind of trophy this season, and make sure we're in the Europa League the year after as well. They're the big things for me, and hopefully we play.
I want the Europa League, because then that will be Champions League the year later.
Well, I'm not being funny. Just if we won the Europa League, that would be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing.
League Cup will do anything,
but League Cup would do as well.
Johnston's paint. We're not even in it, but that'll do. Any trophy.
Can't we be in it just so we can go and win it? Can we just go in it? That'd be fantastic, wouldn't it? But I think that's all we want as a trophy. Because the other thing is, you just mentioned, 20 years since a trophy. We all love talking about our history and somehow being the fourth most successful team in English football. That's not going to last too long. No. That isn't going to last too long.
People are biting at the heels.
You know, the likes of Chelsea and teams like that are starting to catch up with us, and we say they've got no right to catch up with us, but they will be. And Man City and teams like that, they'll start as well, and we need to start saying, well, you know what? Okay, it might be a while till we win our next title, but in my lifetime, please.
Cups count.
But cups, yeah. Keep if you're winning cups every 2 or 3 years, whether they be League Cups or whatever, they're keeping that.
For the kids as well. You want kids who are walking around Everton shirts. They want to see Everton win something, and it's
mind-boggling that. It's mind-boggling that I was 16 the last time ever.
I can't believe that when we lifted the FA Cup that day, someone would have said it's going to be 20 years at least since you see the next one. You would have just gone that.
Till maybe see the next one. Oh, and that bitter point. Right, you have been watching.
Sad.
You have been watching.
Hang on, before you finish it.
Okay.
Wearing a t-shirt from Toffee Art, so get yours. Fantastic, all the legends on it. Fantastic t-shirt available at Toffee Art.
There's the plug. You have been watching Toffee TV. Find us on Twitter at Toffee TV1. Find us on Facebook. Just search Toffee TV. Go to YouTube. Subscribe. It's youtube.com/EFCTV1. And what else?
Our website, toffeetv.net. All the videos are on there. Anyone wants to do any blogs for it, get in touch. You want to write for it, little video diaries, whatever, get in touch with us, and we'll put you on there.
But make sure you subscribe. That's the number one thing. Subscribe on YouTube. You'll be kept up to date when the next video is on. All we can say is good luck to the Blues at Leicester, and we'll speak soon.